Hey guys, Lambo here. I got a large request for how to animate objects in a map. So we're going to go over that really fast, as quick as I can, as simple as possible. I'm in Paradise map here, and I have a rock, and I want this to go up and down like that. Right? So you walk up, and then you you can basically press the trigger button, and the rock will slide up like a secret cave. So in order to do that, we have to have what's called a folder called animated objects.xml, and we're going to tell this object, this transform right here, to look for that file, and then that file is going to tell this object what to do. In order to do that, we need to use our user attributes panel. In order to access that, you go up to your window up here and you go to user attributes. You click on it and it'll bring this up. And also be careful when you're moving stuff around in a map or trying to do things sometimes. If you're importing stuff in from other maps, like you might import in something out with, like here's already a lift gate that I've done, but these attributes can mess up your game if you're just taking stuff out of maps randomly. So let's go through and build this from scratch. Now the only thing you're not going to see me do right now is actually create a transform group, which is easy. You just go boom, create a transform group, and then that's right there, moving rock. And then I took the object I want to animate, this big rock, and I just pasted it inside moving rocks. And I put them at the same location, just makes it simpler for me. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go right here to add new attribute, and we're going to select string. And I believe this first one is going to be index. Okay, and we'll click add. And let's just build up the attributes first, and then I'll show you what to put in them. The next one is, what was the next one? Oh, on create. Okay, so the next one is going to be a script callback, and you have to be very careful on your capitalization on here because it will mess it up. So we're going to add script callback on create. Okay, and then the next one is going to be a string, and it's going to be XML file name. XML file name, and the F is capitalized there because it's how XML works is the first letter is not capitalized and the second or the first word is not capitalized and the second word is capitalized to separate the two. Okay, now we're going to go over here. Now that we have all this up here, we can kind of look at this other lift gate that I have here, an animated lift gate, and we will place that relatively close so you can kind of see what that would look like. So I have this lift gate here, and when I tell it to move index, this index is what it's going to be looking for in your animated objects file. So these don't have to be like, say if I made a whole bunch of these lift gates, the only thing I have to remember to do, so they will both work off the same code that we're about ready to create, but the only thing I have to do is make sure I change the name in the attributes panel, not the user attributes, the attributes panel. So it can't be liftgate 02 like 5 million times. It can, 02 can only be 02. And this is just how the game does it. It'll throw an error if you don't. So our next one technically would be 03. And if we made another one, that would be 04. So they can't be the same name in that area. So we're not going to play with that right now. We're actually going to do our rock here. So we're going to call this, it's going to be looking for an index name inside of the XML. So we're just going to call it moving rock 101. Okay, and then the next code we're going to put in there was the on create. I can't remember 100% the code. So it's animated map object dot on create. Sometimes I just like to copy and paste. I mean, it's good to put it in your first time. So animated map object dot on create. It's good to write it in your first time because then you'll get that muscle memory going on. But after a period of time, it just takes time. And then next, we're going to be diving into, now your map may not have an animated objects XML, and you might have to create one, and we'll go over that in this video as much as I can as well. So, but in this map, I'm looking here for my animated objects. So we're going to put that in there as well. Okay, so now we have all the code setups. We'll hit save here so that the game knows that this is what you, this is the location, this is the code. You'll see here momentarily, we just hit save and now everything kind of locked up for a second. So we're going to come into here, and where I put my animated parts is I put it inside my maps folder. So you got your main map after you unzip it, and then I put mine in here, animated objects. Okay, and I have it open already in here, so I'll open it up. And I have a lot of stuff in here, so yours won't be this confusing if you're just creating a new one. But basically, you're going to have this up at the top, animated objects.xml, and I probably will make a template for this, and I'll have a bunch of already made ones for you guys to kind of look at and see how they work possibly. Like this is the horse walker, and it works by keyframes. So what the game's going to do, it's going to come into here when it loads up the map, and it's going to load up all these objects here, and it's going to find this object moving rocks. No matter where it is on the map, it doesn't, I can move it anywhere. Like I could copy it out of there and put it in triggers where I'm going to put it anyways. See, and I don't need that lift gate was old. So like I can put it anywhere, it doesn't matter. Well, the only thing that matters is the code in here. So now we're going to go moving rocks. You're going to copy this index that we created, and then let's find a simple one here, animated object, glass gate, that's a good one. Pull it all the way up to the top here so you guys can see it. Okay, so that's really basic that I'm going to steal it out of, but we're pretty much going to just use this part of it because it's just moving a little bit. So we'll take that index we copied and we'll put it in here, moving rock 01. And I'll kind of explain what the code is saying here, and we'll zoom in a little bit so you can read it better. Animated object, it's going to load that in the game, and then it's going to say, okay, what is this? It is an onCreate animated object. Okay, what is it trying to do? We got to get that from this file. Okay, when they go to this file, they're going to be looking for this name. It finds that name, moving rock 01. Okay, what do you want me to do? It shows that they're going to allow the player to activate this moving object with a hand tool. The trigger node is going to be set up at 1. Now let's put our trigger in here now, and I'll explain this to you. Let's go player trigger. I'm just going to copy one I've already made here, and then I'll go through it with you. So paste that in there. So where's my trigger at? I don't even know where my rock is. It's blending in with the wall so good. So we're going to put trigger right here. If you scale it and all that kind of stuff, that's fine. Just make sure you do a freeze transformation. And then if the trigger actually moves itself, it needs to be a climatic collision. And what I mean by that is up here in rigid body, you want to make sure this is selected right here, rigid body. And then you see the scale. These numbers mean that this item has been originally scaled from what it was originally created to be. So that's what it was last freeze framed at. So I did that's kind of a good little, gives you a little elongated. I'm going to put it right in front. Okay, and it's rigid body, it's a static. If it was going to be moving, like the platforms are moving platforms, so they allow that trigger has to be, you can't move static items, they have to be a climatic, which is this right here, or kinematic, I'm probably saying that wrong. But we're not going to be moving that trigger, so it doesn't matter. But now what it's referring to is what nodes is this, the game considers this 36 now. So anything down from here would be 0. This would be 0, right? Just completely forget about those, and then my player trigger would be 1. And you can change this based if it's somewhere else, but it's perfect for right here because it's in trigger node 1. If I was to move it up, which let's do that just so you guys less confusion. Now it's a trigger node 0, and then we would change that here, 0. And I'll leave it like that. Okay, this is where it gets fun, and you're going to need to open up your mod disk. You don't particularly have to, but if you want text to pop up that actually instructs the player what it is they're doing when they go to click this, you're going to need to create a input and some text headings. And let's do that right now. So we'll go to animated object. Let's just put rock. Okay, this is what we're gonna open. Animated object open rock. And you can name this whatever you want as long as this upper part is capitalized. And you have this input in here. So I'm going to put that open rock. Hit copy, double click on that. Oh, I'm so zoomed in for you guys. We'll put close rock here. Oh, all caps, messed up. Okay, now that that's looking beautiful, scroll that over. We're going to open up our mod disk. So I'm going to have that open up on this side here. Go in our mod disk here, and we're going to go to input bindings. And this looks very confusing right now because I have a lot in here, but when you come here you will have your brand new ones. So under input bindings, this is going to be your opening tag, and this one right here is going to be your closing tag. And inside of there will be well, that's perfect right there. Animated object open and close door. Let's just take that code, copy it, and now we're going to paste in the first half of this. So you paste that one in there. And then we're going to take the second one here, and we're going to paste this one right there. And that's basically, it's giving the game the input keys to allow you to move this up and down. So it's assigned to button 3 and button 1. Okay, so got those handled. We'll scroll down to the 110 tag here, and now we're going to create our text that it's going to say when you go to load this up. So this is where this input comes into play. So we'll copy that. Drag this up here and make a copy of this as well. We'll paste that in there. This is the whole thing since we already got it. And then we'll copy this other one, paste it in there, and then change this. I don't know, we should put open secret rock. Open rock. Open sesame. How do you spell sesame? Open sesame. Okay guys, we figured out how to spell open sesame. And we're off right there. Well, what's the reverse for that? Would that be closed sesame? Yeah. Okay. So now that rock is almost animated. Our last things we need to do is tell it what we want it to do. So now we want to tell it to make certain sounds when it's performing its actions, when it's completed its actions, and during its actions, if that makes any kind of sense. So let's say the rock is moving and I need a rock sound, which I don't have one currently. Maybe I'll go outside and rub 2 rocks together for you guys. But you need a rock sound or opening door sound. There's plenty of stock ones in the game that you can use as long as it's an OGG file. So while it's moving, say it's going up and down, it's going to use this sound. And this one's obviously going to be an electric door sound we're going to hear. And then it's going to loop 1 time, 2 time, 3 time. You can tell it how many time there. And then the volume of it is going to be set here. That could be, I've went all the way up to 3 before, and it's super loud. Radius is how far from the point that you can hear it. So like when the nukes are going off in one of my videos, the animated, that's set to like 400 radius, so you hear it forever. The inner radius, I'm pretty sure that's just how close you can hear. Not 100% sure on that one. I know when I boost it up, I can hear it better. We'll have to figure that out. And then this is fade out, so how long into the animation do you want the sounds to fade out? And you would do the same thing for positive end. This is when it is completely done and like it's completed doing the animation. And then here is the same thing when, because you have to press the button to deactivate it, so it has another end animation here. The total animation time and duration, this is in seconds, I believe. Or not, I believe it's in seconds. We'll figure that out one day. We're all kind of just going off our seat with this. So the initial time, it's going to wait 1 second before it starts performing these actions. The overall duration is going to be 15 seconds long. I think for a moving huge boulder, that needs to be at least like a 20-second gig. And we're going to be looking at next, it's going to ask, and like if your animations are going way fast, try to boost this number up. So like my horse walker here, the duration set at 100, and it's still pretty quick. I mean, honestly, I'm probably going to change that right now while we're looking at it. I still got stuff to work on that one. But now we're getting into the parts that we want to animate. You can animate multiple parts, but I have not had any luck with animating things that translate and rotate. So I haven't had any luck with rotation and translation using in the same animation. You have to make a whole new animation for the rotation. That was kind of a tongue twister. Okay, so it's going to be looking at part node 0, and this is kind of playing the same game as this trigger node was playing up here, but see, we switched that. Now this one's 1, and I'll show you that in the editor really quick. This one would be 1, so ignore all this right here, all this 836, ignore that. So it would just be 1. It's going to index, this is like the parent, is basically what it's referring to. This is considering itself the parent, so this moving rock would be node, or yeah, it'd be node 1. And its starting translation is going to be at 0. So it's maxed out at 0. We have it currently perfect how we want it, and then we want it to go up enough to fit in some equipment. So like, let's say 20 on the Y. So you have your keyframes next. So this is where you want this part to be at what certain parts of the animation. And just because it says 1 right here does not mean that that's 1 second. This is 100% of this number here. So if I was to put 0.1, that is 10% of this number here. It's time, it's percentage cut into time. So you have to do a little bit of mathematics if you want your animations to work out decently, if you figure out your times here. So what I like to do right off the bat at keyframe time, right when you're beginning, you need to do 0. This sets the part in the space-time continuum. So when the game loads up, it's right where it needs to be in order to be animated each and every time. The keyframe next, we want it to complete this action in all one maneuver. I just wanted to move up. I just wanted to, not sesame. Where did sesame come from? I just wanted to move up on the y-axis, and you have right here, these are your 3 axes. This is your x-axis, your y-axis, and your z-axis. If you don't know what that is, look into here and you'll see right here translate x, y, and z. And it's set up in this order, 0, 20, 0. Go right here, 0, 20, 0. I want it to move to that location in 20 seconds. It'll go slow enough to where it looks like a rock moving up and down. And honestly, guys, let's kind of close up my map and save it up, zip it up, and I will show you in game how simple this was to make. Here we go. One thing I forgot, guys, since we are animated this, and we don't want people to just be able to walk through it like that, right? So what we're gonna have to do right now, it is a rigid body. That button is clicked right here, and it is all scaled out. And if it isn't scaled out, you just right click on the rock and you go freeze transformations. Just click the scale and then click apply. Then you click on rigid body up here, and because we're moving a collision object, it cannot be static. So you see where it says rigid body type right here? It can't be a static item, because static means it's not going anywhere, it's static. Stuck in place. So we need to change this to a kinematic. Oh, not dynamic, kinematic. This one right here. What this is going to do is it's actually going to lock you out from being able to do any of these scaling up and down. So if you end up wanting to change the size of this, make it bigger, whatever, you're actually going to have to unclick that, go back to static, click off of it, click back to it, and then you'll be able to make your changes that you need to make. And then repeat the process I just told you. So I'm going to hit save, and then we're going to check this out in game. Well, there you go, guys. Now you know how to animate parts on your map. If you found this video useful, make sure you hit that subscribe and the bell notifications. And don't forget to hit the like button and share this with other people who might find this a little bit interesting. I'm excited to see what you guys make, and I look forward to hearing from you in the comments.